The dynamic programming of day one of the Global Black Economic Forum stage continues, and coming up, we've got the Black Men's Roundtable headed by our president and CEO of the Global Black Economic Forum, Alfonso David. But first, we explore the power of giving, investment, and community building. Joining the Global Black Economic Forum stage, please welcome Delano Massey, Midwest Managing Editor for Axios Local; Dr. Alfie Breland Noble, founder, the Acoma Project and the Maddie Fund; Susan Taylor Batten, President and Chief Executive Officer of ABFE; and the Reverend Siobhan Arline Bradley, President and Chief Executive Officer, National Council of Negro Women.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would say, thank you for having us. Thank you for showing up. It's really hot outside, so you could be many other places, which would be cool. But we have a limited amount of time, so we really just want to get straight into it. You don't know me, I'm Delano Massey. I'm managing editor of Axios. I also write a lot, so I think a lot about the intersection of all of the things that we're going to talk about today. And at some point, I've either covered it or I've led coverage about it, just thinking about our community and being in this space. So, we've had conversations, and really what you all represent is like an ecosystem, and what communities might need in order for communities to sustain. And I wonder, if we could just start the conversation by, sort of laying out, what your personal why is and the work that you are doing.
So, hi everybody, I'm Dr. Alfie. My personal why is to create space. I remember a long time ago, I worked with a pastor on some research when I was an academic. This is before this life. And I remember she taught me something I've never forgotten, and it really describes my why. And she talked about how anybody older than probably 30, 35 remembers those old tables in the dining room where you would pull the table apart and you would put a new leaf in there to make the table longer. That's my why. My why is to create a larger table, to create as much space as possible with my philanthropic and nonprofit work, so that everybody, like the folks who look like us in here, has an opportunity to be at the table and make decisions about how they're going to take care of themselves and their communities, because they have the expertise. So that's my why.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Susan with the Association of Black Foundation Executives, or ABFE. My why is that, I learned from my parents about the importance of the village, and the need for what some people call philanthropy, but what we call taking care of each other and loving each other. My dad was a longtime school teacher in Brooklyn, New York, and on the weekends he ran homework clubs in our basement. My mom was a community health nurse and helped raise generations of families in a tough neighborhood in Long Island, New York. And so they instilled in me the responsibility to take care of our people. That's my why. Yep.
Yeah. So hey everybody, I'm Reverend Siobhan. I think one of the things that pushes my why is my son. I'm a boy mom, and when you think about the investment in black children and black families, the ability to be able to survive is based on the investment of our people. And the only way he will survive is if others see him not as a threat, but as a thriving black man in this country in the future. And so my why is really about how we build a community of people that see investment as a part of a civil rights strategy, that the way that we give shows up in the way that we live. And I think that even in this Essence Festival, I'm looking at all the families that are out here. The why is seeing my people thrive and advance. And our children have to see us thriving in order to want to thrive. So that's my why. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you've noticed, the last couple of years have been different.
Yeah.
Been different challenges. We've seen rollbacks in DEI. We've also seen a lot of funding cut through DOGE. We've seen an increase in unemployment and a lot of erasure or changing of history and the narratives. When you guys think about like what is important in terms of preserving and building and sustaining communities, I think I was telling you earlier, I was looking at a video of Ambassador Andrew Young, and he said that this particular time frame is probably the worst in his lifetime, which said quite a bit in nearly 100 years. So what do you guys think about the urgency of this particular moment, and sort of what we're facing and how that actually intersects with the need to build community, to fund community, and also thinking about like what it takes to sustain mentally?
I'll start. I run one of the oldest black women's civil rights organization founded by Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. We all know our history about Dr. Bethune. We are an organization on Pennsylvania Avenue with the only black and woman-owned building on Pennsylvania Avenue. The reason why that's important when we think about legacy and longevity in history is that our spaces in history are literally at the verge of an intersection of either erasure or consistency and sustainability. Part of the reason why it's important to talk about it at this moment is that our ability to finance ourselves, fund ourselves, and support ourselves, it's about really proximity to power and then sustaining that power. I will lay down my life before we lose that piece of real estate on Pennsylvania Avenue, because it's a symbol of Dorothy Height. It's a symbol of Mary McLeod Bethune. It's a symbol of all the ancestors that came before us. And I will offer this. As we're sitting in these spaces, this attack on diversity, equity, inclusion is an attack on blackness. And when you have an attack on blackness, it's an attack on you and me sitting in this room. And so I think it's really important for us to understand that FUBU label, for us, by us, was never a pun. For us, by us, with us, about us, right? It's about how we keep each other in play.
Yes, so the organization that I lead is a network with the largest network of black professionals that work in foundations around the country. And the attack is real.
Yeah, it is.
You know, all these executive orders on DEI, eliminating DEI, we know how corporations folded too soon, quite frankly, because of the fear. We know how some universities folded because of the fear. And right after one of the DEI executive orders came out, the administration actually asked the OMB to list every foundation in this country. There are over 100,000. Every foundation in this country that had assets over 500 million, and to scrutinize them for any illegal DEI activity.
Or
right?
language on their websites.
That's right. That's right. So basically, just like corporations and universities folded based on fear, so did too many foundations. So did too many foundations. They actually started scrubbing their websites when just 5 years before, after the murder of George Floyd, everybody was rushing to give money to black communities. And a couple years later, because of the fear mongering that's happening in DC, people started scrubbing their websites and actually started pulling back their resources that are focused on us and focused on racial justice in particular.
Yeah.
So while we have always needed to be organized, Delano, you and I were talking backstage a bit about sometimes there's something about this moment that's making us do what we need to do,
That's right.
which is organize even better.
Yeah.
So now is the time that we've got to really be thinking about, and sister, thank you, building our own foundations.
Yes.
Right? Organizing our own funds and leading on black philanthropy for us, by us, because that won't waver. That won't waver.
That's right.
I think we have, whether it's media, really a lot of industries, but for venture capitalists, black-owned venture funds have less than 1%. So we're not receiving the money, not receiving the funds.
That's right.
And part of what you do is creating pathways so that people can find the right relationships, right? So having the accessibility is critical to that.
It is.
What about the mental aspect of this?
So I think what each of you have described, what my sisters here do, I exist because they do what they do. So I run a mental health nonprofit called the Acoma Project. We're focused on 3 principles: raising consciousness, empowering people, and changing the system of mental health. And all of our work is grounded in uplifting, centering, and supporting the mental health and emotional well-being of youth and young adults who are black, and also of color, of other racial ethnic groups, with a particular focus on, I've met the Professor Crenshaw, and I about passed out, but intersectionality is at the core of what we do. And I can only say that because of what she did when she coined the term and put it out there for us to consider. So for me, it really is about ensuring that as they do their work, as the people who work with them and under them and for them and beside them do their work, that there is a conscious effort to ensure that we're taking care of our mental health. Because that work is not for the meek, right? Understanding that you are the only sitting on a whole row of streets, we live in the DMV as well, is not for the meek, because you know that you're a target. It's hypervisibility and hyper-invisibility at the same time. So I think the other thing that I would say is I also run something called the Maddie Fund, and I'll tell you really quickly what the Maddie Fund is. In 2024, Melinda French Gates picked 12 global leaders. Each one of those people got a $20 million fund, and their job is to give that money away. I will say here, because I feel like it's important, 4 of the people out of the dozen are Black women. And for somebody to empower Black women in that way feels deeply important to me, and I don't take it lightly. So the work that I do is really also trying to be mindful of not just giving money for operations, but also giving money for capacity building.
That's right.
How do you take care of the people who
That's
are
right.
caring for all the people like us out here in the world? So for me, that's what it is really seeing and understanding and supporting the people who do the work to take care of the other people.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more, because we actually, you know, when you think about the work, I think racism is very tiring.
Yes.
Like,
It's exhausting.
it is exhausting.
It's exhausting being Black in America.
Yeah, it is. So, you know, there are often times we don't think about that. We were talking about that, like with media, that I'm just going through it and covering it over and over again. But also, we talked about the importance of joy.
Yes.
And being able to capture some of those moments. So just talk about like your experience in that, and like, you know, how we should be thinking and approaching that part of this in this moment, because
Yes.
I think a lot of people are just
Struggling.
tired. Yeah.
Yes. So I'll say this really quickly, and I'll leave it to my beautiful sisters, my beautiful and brilliant sisters. One thing I hope everybody in here remembers is that things do not happen to you because of who you are, all right? And just bear with me. They happen because of other people's perceptions of who you are. So the next time you go to a store, right, and everybody comes through the line and they swipe their credit card and nobody asks them for the ID and they get to you and they want ID, it's not because you're Black. It is because that person is racist. That person is biased. Do you understand the difference? And so for me, that's the kind of reframe that's necessary so that I don't carry the weight. Because remember, whatever comes after the word because, I was an English major in undergrad at Howard University, HU, no. But what I learned is the word because, whatever comes after that is the reason. You understand? So the reason is never your Blackness. The reason is that other person's choices and their bias. So that's what I would say we have to pay attention to and stay with.
Yeah, we push really hard in terms of working with funders to ensure that they are funding space and time for joy, right? Space and time for rest. There are a number of leading funders who actually understand that and are giving grants to nonprofits for sabbaticals and time, again, to dream. People need time to dream. Talking about general operating support, there's a whole new kind of general operating support we need today, and that's time to dream and to plan with others. So we are behind a number of foundations that are moving in that direction, and they're investing in opportunities for joy. We also, for our members, because we are a membership association, organize retreats specifically for Black women, as well as for Black men, because in times like this, always being Black in America is exhausting, but in times like this, we are very intentional about making the spaces, going off into the mountains, again, being able to dream and bringing nonprofit partners with us. That's sort of how we're dealing with some of these issues, yeah.
So you represent an organization that is very historic. And we talked a little bit about the cyclical nature of history. You mentioned that back in 2020, everybody was embracing DEI. They were running into it. And that recoil happened. But we've seen that recoil throughout history. It's something that, going back to Reconstruction, as we were talking about, that is something that has happened to the Black community. Is there a moment that you guys think about, particularly you, do you think, can you trust that maybe things will go back to a particular place where it was? Or at this moment, does sustaining truly mean building, preserving what we build today, the infrastructure, the ecosystems that we build today to move forward, and ignore the potential that some people might come around and say, you know what, we made a mistake.
Yeah, I don't trust them. I don't trust people that oppress. But what I do trust is in the resilience of Blackness. I believe honestly that the kind of opposition that we are seeing now is pushing Black communities to do something a little bit different. So what I trust in is new investments from our own people. I trust in a commitment that'll be made that has never been made before. I tell people all the time, the way that we've been able to sustain ourselves are by small gifts. People get caught up in, I need millions of dollars. I tell people, $20 a month for organizations like civil rights organizations, for charities, literally sustains them. What people have to understand is that your Starbucks cup of coffee can save the movement. Like one cup away from keeping Black institutions alive. Your HBCU needs your $20 a month. ncnw.org, go online. If you're not a member, it's a problem, right? These institutions require that kind of commitment. I think the opposition has risen up another generation. My fastest growing members are 19 to 24-year-olds. We're on 113 college campuses in 33 states. And the reason why is because every generation now sees the same enemy. And because of that, I believe that this moment is calling for us to get new dollars in, new donors in, new quote-unquote allies in, but also a resurgence of folks that have been checked out because we got comfortable in 08 through 16. Yeah. We thought 16 to 20 was a fluke, and we found out in 24 it wasn't. And so now we've got young people that have been really recharged. We've got seasoned folk that are saying, not on our watch, we're going to teach you. And now when the generations are talking the same language, y'all Black people have never lost a fight that we got on the same page about. Let's win this fight.
Yeah.
Can I co-sign on this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And when we talk about the power of philanthropy and the power of Black philanthropy, I love, sis, when you say it's the small checks, the $20 checks. Yes. We know that is how we have survived in this country. So even though I lead an organization that is pushing on institutional philanthropy that made their billions of dollars in their endowments really off the backs of our people, I know that we've got to do much more to bring foundations and individual donors together, and particularly Black individual donors. The power of everyday givers is something that we really have to lift up and be intentional about. And the explosion of, for example, Black giving circles around the country is so exciting. There are so many Black giving circles being developed around the country that there is now an association called the Community Investment Network that's organizing Black giving circles. And there are funds that are being developed around the country. I think, again, since 2020, because we saw this coming. And one example I will give, there's a brother named Jamie Wooten in Baltimore, Maryland. He runs something called Collectively. Every year, every August, which is Black Philanthropy Month, y'all, every August is Black Philanthropy Month, they have a 24-hour drive, fundraising drive for grassroots Black organizations in Baltimore. Last year, in 24 hours, they raised $1 million to support 150 Black organizations, and they've done that every year for the last 3 years. Shout out to Jamie. So we've got to lean into what is our legacy. We know we are a giving people. It is how we have survived. There's actually data funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation that says that Black people actually are the most giving people on the planet. African descendant people, we give away more of our discretionary income than any other racial ethnic group. We've been tithing forever, right? We've been paying our membership dues to our fraternities and sororities forever. over 100 and some odd years. So now is the time to lean in on what is our strength, and that's the giving of our people for our people.
That's right.
What do you think is the thing that would help you all right now? Like, if there was a message that that you would want people to leave with that would be beneficial to you in your respective lanes, what would that look like?
For me, I think it is that every single one of us can give something. So if you can't give money, you can give your time. If you can't give your time, you can share your talent. Maybe you are an artist and you can create some art that a nonprofit would benefit from. Maybe you're a person who knows of a young person, because so many young people, I've met so many who are developing their own nonprofits and doing their own activism. Maybe you know someone. Get them connected with people like this so they can have insight and they don't have to reinvent the wheel, figuring out how to build up and grow up. So I think every single one of us can do something. And my challenge to everybody in here today is to find one Black-led organization. It can be a COMA, it can be any of the NCNW, it can be any of these organizations up here, and figure out what you can give. But find an organization and figure out what you can give. I think that's what we can offer.
I would share, thank you for that. Because you just mentioned, Sister Alfie, some people's definition of philanthropy. That's a big fancy word, right, that didn't come from us. But some people describe it as the giving of time, talent, and treasure. Treasure is the money. Time and talent is really, really important, right? And one of the things I will share with you, the studies and the research that we have on Black-led nonprofits in this country and what they're going through right now. That fear that I said is coming out of Washington, D.C. and threatening foundations that will pull your 501c3 status if you fund illegal DEI activity is actually rolling down and hitting Black nonprofits very hard. We know that some foundations, and let me be clear, Black CEOs in foundations are holding the line,
yes,
they're pushing forward.
Yes,
but we are still a small percentage of the number of leaders in the field of philanthropy, in foundations, right? But it is really, really important that we think about the threats that Black nonprofits are under right now. I've talked to more lawyers than I've cared to talk to over the last couple of years. Yeah. And many of them, nonprofits, need support around legal counsel. They need support around crisis communication, because they are under the radar. And it's not just the administration. In red states, attorney generals are coming after Black organizations. If you say your work is Black, you have a target on your back these days. And so we are trying to do more to get pro bono support, and just want to shout out Damon Hewitt, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under the Law.
Straight up.
He stood up an entire program, a couple of years ago, that's providing pro bono counsel to organizations led by Black folks. So you don't have to be afraid. You can pick up the phone and call and get some legal counsel. So the giving of talent and your giving of your time, we need Black lawyers. We need Black communications specialists to actually make these relationships with Black nonprofits, because we're under threat. We're under threat.
That's absolutely amazing. We are the National Council of Negro Women, the constant targets of being the only Black building between the White House and the Capitol has been unprecedented. There's two things that we need. I think one, you talked about it, which is small donations. If you're not a member or affiliated, or if you have small dollar donations, go on websites right now. Like, pull out your phone, go to ncnw.org, go to NAACP, go to AFI, go to these organizations, give a small donation. But here's the second thing, social media. Follow Black institutions online and help our algorithms. We don't talk about this enough. A lot of the foolishness and misinformation that gets put out is because we are following foolish people, and we are sending out their information. Deal with accurate institutions that are giving out the right information. So go on social media, follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn. For those that use Facebook, follow us online. Follow us individually, because when our algorithm goes up, people then begin to see more clearer, cleaner messaging, and they invest in what they see. The last thing I'll say is, don't forget to invest in Black children. Making sure that we get opportunities for our babies. We have a program called BHCP, We're giving students $5,000 each to pay towards their tuition. Please support organizations that support black families. It's the way we sustain ourselves.
Yeah. I think we're about to wrap.
Yeah.
One thing that, if there is a word that you could think of, just quickly,
Yeah.
what is the word that comes to mind when you're thinking about community and what is needed to sustain community? What is, if you could think of a word, that when you think about what's necessary to sustain community and to sustain a black community, like what is that?
I would say empowered. And when I say empowered, I mean embodying the power that is within you. That's all I mean when I say empowered. I would say that's what it is.
Mine is self-determination. Ain't nobody coming to save us, for us, by us.
I would say bold collective, right? I'm combining my words because blackness cannot be contained. It is bold, it's beautiful, it's bodacious, it's bad, it's big. And bold collaboration of blackness means that no matter where you come from, no matter if you got a degree or not, whether you from the north, south, east, or west, if you black, you bad. And you woke up that way, and that collaboration and investment allows us to do great things. So bold collaboration.
All right. I mean, that's it. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
y'all.
you guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.